Sure, there's a lot in that question. So the county is considering a millage for mental health and safety services. In order to honor the fact that the city of Ann Arbor spends a large amount of its operating budget on police services, they'll be giving a rebate either based on taxable value or population to the residents of Ann Arbor. And that's going to come in somewhere between $2 million and $2.5 million a year as a rebate to our general fund. It's important to note that should this move forward, that rebate isn't going to be taking dollars from mental health funding, but instead the safety services that we already provide through the Ann Arbor Police Department. Through that, it's important to understand the process. The process is they're considering a millage, they're considering what a rebate might look like. We interjected and said, yes, a rebate. We don't want to subsidize the police force and the sheriff's department operating in Chelsea or Manchester. We want to spend our tax dollars on public safety here in Ann Arbor. And if people are going to be paying taxes, they want to see the benefit of those services here. So we're advocating for the rebate. From there, I think it's legitimate for Ann Arbor voters to know what they'll be voting on, because that $2 to $2.5 million rebate is going to become real service eventually. So we said, what are the priorities that the community has that are being underfunded? Climate change, in a time when our president doesn't believe in science. Affordable housing, when the Housing and Urban Development Department is seeing significant slashes. And finally, pedestrian safety, when you have kids walking to school in unsafe conditions. Finally, it'll be up to the voters to decide whether or not they're going to tax themselves.
Thank you. Mr. Kunselman, I'll give you an abbreviated version of the same question. The first part is that the City Council voted 8-3 to allocating a revenue from a possible countywide tax for public health and safety services. Does the City Council have a responsibility to develop relationships with other governing bodies? And in what ways does this currently happen, and how can we improve that process?
All right. Well, first of all, regarding this 8-3 vote, I mean, that was clearly nothing more than political posturing. It's unfortunate that our City Council decided that they wanted to impose themselves on a county effort that the county hadn't even put forth the language or adopted the language for this millage. So I won't talk too much about that, but this idea that we're getting a rebate could be very much illegal under state tax law. So it was very premature, it was unnecessary, and it was wrong. In terms of our relationships, yes, it's very important that elected officials have very good relationships with other elected officials in other municipalities. And I think that's really important, because when you do that, you have success in regional efforts. I'll give an example. When I served on City Council, there was an effort to create a county-wide transit authority. I was very much opposed to that. There are many people on the County Commission, very many people in the Ann Arbor City Council. We're all trying to go to county-wide. But I believe that there was a better way, and that way was to expand the Ann Arbor Area Transportation Authority. I went out and I met with Ypsilanti Township elected officials. I went out and spoke with the City of Ypsilanti elected officials. I talked to them, what can we do to get your buy-in? And through that effort, we were successful. I led that effort because I worked with other elected officials. I also want to bring up the other one is Pittsfield Township is very much opposed to the expansion of the Ann Arbor Airport. The supervisor, Mandy Grewell, has made that very clear, yet our City Council has not been paying attention to her, and I'm opposed to the expansion of the airport, and I want to work with our neighbors in Pittsfield Township to ensure that we are working together.
Thank you. It was a